It just says income. So how does income affect the demand chart? I mean,
If your
graph.
income goes up, demand shifts to the right and increases because you have more items, you buy more stuff. If your
And
income goes down, you buy less and it shifts to the left.
and what do you mean by like future expectations?
Just what I said, future expectations. That's a
Can
shift.
you can you give me an example?
We're going to have a sale in a month and we're going to drop our prices 20% in 1 month.
Okay.
So we buy less today. We buy quite a lot less today because we're waiting for that sale.
Um, demands in the future don't shift the graph, or they
It
do?
does. It shifts.
Okay. But I mean, expectations now, do they shift the graph as well?
Expectations shift the graph. And based on the question, you shift either now or you're going to shift now. You just are. You're making your decisions based on what's going to happen.
So
So
how
go ahead.
so how do you tell the difference between future expectations on it, like how if it affects the demand graph versus it affecting the supply graph? Because they both have like the shifter as
Expectation. It's one is related to demand, one is related to supply. Demand is the consumer, supply is the business. That's part of
okay.
your trick in all of this is which is a demand question, which is a supply question.
Okay.
So demand is by a consumer and by an individual, and supply is by the business. But you're going to have to figure out how to determine whether it's supply or demand. But there are
Okay.
expectations for both, and both of them have expectations of the future. And you're correct.
Okay. Last question is about the supply shifter. So, what do you mean exactly by the opportunity cost of profitable alternatives? So, can you
I'm a,
like give me an example?
sure, I make two products. I make tobacco and I make corn. And I
Yeah.
am a farmer.
Yeah.
So if I make corn, my opportunity cost is the tobacco and vice versa. So what I'm looking at is whichever product gets the higher price, that's what I'm going to make.
And what like which direction would that shift the?
I can't tell you. You have two products and it depends on the price of the product. You produce and you make the one that is the higher price. The one that's the lower price is going to decrease and shift to the left. One that's the higher price shifts to the right.
Okay.
You look confused.
No, that's how I always look.
No, are you sure you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Jack, it really doesn't matter per se. It's just cigarettes and alcohol is a sin. If you do them, it's sinful. It goes back to the 1800s, and that's just how it's always been. So they're referred to as sin taxes. We can put a tax on cigarettes and alcohol, and it really doesn't matter because people will vote for that. And in Arizona, they vote for it every time because people like my Mormon friends don't smoke or drink, and they're saying, sure, tax that stuff because it's not going to affect them whatsoever. So it's one of those easy taxes that you can do because all those people that are sinful, they're the ones that do it, and they're the ones that don't pay the tax. But it goes way back to the 1800s, and that's what it's called. And it's stuck. Um, you know, it depends on the tax because most of it's to raise money. Most of it's to raise money for the government, just like tariffs are there. They could either stop the production of the product, stop consumption. If I wanted to stop consumption of alcohol, I mean, what's a beer six pack is maybe $6. I don't know what it is. If I tax it 3 times of the price and make the product $20 a six pack, maybe that would stop people from consuming it. Maybe it wouldn't, but most, a really, really big tax would do that. In general, it's just there to raise revenues. Overhead is your plant and equipment and your automation and your robots and everything that goes into making it your plant and equipment and making the product. What else we got? Any other questions?
How do you tell which product is more inelastic when you're looking at a graph?
The flatter the item is, the more elastic it is. The steeper it is, it's more inelastic. So
Okay.
you look at the steepness. Normally, and even when we did it in classes or example, we're so used to doing it unit elastic, and that's the official term, that it's equal. So it's, half is paid by the buyer, half is paid by the seller, because we're doing pretty much proportional supply and demand, that the angles are the same, they're 45-degree angles, and they just look identical. But if you do them correctly, there should be one is more inelastic than the other. Jennifer, we're doing 2-in-1 tomorrow. It's going to be 7 graphs and 25 multiple choice. And that's it. There's no other test. We're starting macro on Tuesday. Possibly, Kyle, if you consider the plant and equipment and not the money. So overhead is their depreciation, the mortgage, their costs of running a business. But normally overhead is a cost. What do you mean, Jennifer, our market day thingy? Because Friday you're supposed to turn in part 1 of your market research, and then the rest is due in a month.
When is our Google form due, or our survey due? I mean, we already turned it on.
100 surveys and all of the results and all of that, that's due at the end of the month, at the end of October.
And how would you want us to submit it to you?
I'll go over that when we're ready, and we're not ready yet. We're going to do the test, and I've got to grade the stuff, and then I'll give you the other things.
Okay.
Any other questions? How are we doing? Looks like I've answered all of them over here. Anyone else got any questions? Madeline, your group has got a bunch of people. Who's got a question? There you go. Nobody? You can turn on the sound and talk to each other, get some questions. Come on now. I can't ever see your question, Natalie. What is that?
How well do people usually do on this test?
Good question. Normally I combine it with the unit 1. I separated it out this year to make it better. So we'll see. Normally people find this is harder than the other part. I kind of tried to get rid of most of the tricky questions, but what I think is tricky in we'll see. But last year and the previous years, I combined unit 1 and supply and demand together, and it was a bear.
Okay, noted.
Jennifer, no.
I have a question.
No, Jennifer. Never switch out. Go ahead.
What's an example of the supply shifter opportunity cost of alternative?
If I produce hamburgers and I produce tacos, and the price of tacos goes up, the supply of hamburgers is going to decrease and the supply of tacos is going to increase. I make both. I can make both products, hamburgers and tacos, and price of tacos went up. I'm going to make more tacos. Supply shifts to the right. I'm going to make less hamburgers. It shifts to the left. That's your example.
Supply would increase because they're cheaper.
I didn't hear that question.
I thought hamburger supply would increase if taco prices increase because the hamburgers are cheaper.
If I make hamburgers as product number one, like I am at Del Taco, and I make hamburgers and I make tacos, those are two products. That's alternative cost of production. Now, if I didn't say that, and I was just saying that I make tacos only, and that's all I'm making, and the price of my hamburger went down, then that is a input cost of my tacos. You see the difference?
Yeah, thank you.
One is where I'm producing two different products and I have my choices to make. Which am I going to make? I'm going to make the one that's the higher the price. And you're right, maybe I should have said a burrito or something different, but hamburger as an input, if it goes down, I'll make more of them. If it goes up, I make less tacos. So good question.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't really know what dead weight loss is at all.
It's a reduction in surplus.
So, like, how do you do that on a graph?
Talk to me like I'm 5.
It's hard to do because we don't have the graphs, and like Jennifer was saying, it's very hard to do. It is when we do a tax, we're actually making less of the product, so our quantity goes down, our prices go up. And it is a portion of the graph that is like a triangle. So it's a small triangle that goes away. We don't make it anymore because of the price and because of the quantity. We've reduced it. So our surplus has gone down based on that little triangle where we don't make anymore. So it's not going. You're not going to be drawing it. You're not going to be doing that on this test. But dead weight loss is the loss of that area in the graph where you don't sell and you don't buy anymore. People want to buy the old spot. They want to buy or they want to produce it but that tax stops it. And that tax reduces our efficiency. It reduces the amount under the graph. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to draw it. You don't need to know where it is. Just it's a reduction in efficiency. It's a reduction of consumer surplus and producer surplus together.
Okay.
What else we got?
When you're doing double shifters, does the order that the equilibrium go, because you go in different directions, is that just based on which thing comes first in the problem? Like if it
Correct.
says
Correct.
first and then demand, that's the definition of like how the order goes, right? It's just that.
Which is first, you shift it, that's your E2. The second one you shift, that's your E3, and then you look at where you ended up, and then you look up what do you know for sure? Did quantity increase or did price increase? Do you know that? And then the other one is indeterminate.
Okay.
What else?
I have a question. Oh wait, sorry. You can go.
And we'll have like 2 graphs that you have to draw that way, and there'll be 2 questions about double shift.
You said the producer surplus is the area under the graph, but what is it?
No, I didn't.
You said?
It's basically the price that is equilibrium price to the supply curve or the cost of production.
Okay.
And the supply curve could be counted as your cost of production.
Okay.
So look at that. Ten of you will get that correct. The rest of you will miss it. So if you paid attention, that is the correct answer. Price of the product less the cost of production.
Could you repeat that again?
Price of the product less cost of production.
Price of the product less what?
The cost of production.
Okay.
That's
One
the producer surplus. And no, I'm not going to say it again. I've said it 3 times, and I'm not going to tell everybody else. That's it.
Okay. I had one question, which was about what the graphs are going to look like on the test. So are they going to look like what?
I don't know how it's going to look like your homework. You're going to be shifting 7 graphs. You're shifting. I'm going to give you a scenario like we've been doing. You're going to do it like we did it on the PowerPoints, like you did in your homework.
Yeah, but like, are the questions about the graph, are they going to be the same ones like the homework? They're going to ask about the shifters of demand and supply, as well as other stuff that was on the homework, but not
It's
anything
it's going to be
extra.
like we did in class.
Okay.
We practiced in class. I don't know how else to tell you. We did it in class. And we said income goes up, competition goes down, draw it. That's what I'm asking. So I'm giving you shifters. I'm giving you the situation, you draw it. Okay?
So if there's an increase in the number of sellers, and therefore an increase in competition, does that increase supply as
Absolutely.
well? Yeah. Okay.
That's the whole purpose. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And yes, Tavin, Sunday morning today, Samsung has something, and then Apple did it the next year. Apple does something, Samsung does something. Apple does something, Samsung does something. There's identical products. We need more competition. We can't just have Apple and Samsung.
Google's coming out with one. It's gonna be
I
good.
would hope so. I hope they actually compete instead of doing the same crap. We'll see. I mean, yes, my son goes, yeah, Microsoft's got a phone. Who's bought a Microsoft phone? Yes, Nokia's got a phone. We haven't bought that in 5 years. So it would be nice to have real competition besides those two that are colluding together doing the same crap. So hopefully we have more competition. Death to capitalism. Oh my gosh, Natalie.
Death to capitalism. Oh.
Am I right, ladies? There she goes. There she is. Anyone else? Anyone else? Is that it? It is 8. It's 9 o'clock. It's been an hour. It's 25 questions, 7 graphs. You got the answer to the hard one, so that's pretty much it. I mean, it really just practice the shifters, look at the shifters, keep them separate back and forth. There's 6 demand questions, 3 price floor and price ceiling questions, 1 producer surplus, which I gave you the answer, 6 shifters, 2 movement along the line questions, 2 equilibrium questions or like surplus or shortage, 1 supply question, 2 tax questions, and 2 world price questions. So that's the 25. The shifters should be easy. They really should be. Anyone else?
This is recorded, right?
Yep.
Are you gonna post it
I'm
after?
going to try to. Yep.
Hype.
I'm going to try to. It should be fine. The other one is being like worked on right now, but I'm going to shift them to Google Plus. Put them up there.
I have one more question. If you have like say a decrease in price of a good and you have like a double shifter graph, will that mean that you go down on both the supply and the demand line to a point where then you have like the shortage area? Is that what happens when you have price change of a good? Like it moves on both lines past equilibrium, either up or down to where there's a surplus or a shortage.
Well, you start at equilibrium.
Yeah.
And then the price goes down.
Yeah.
So there's movement on both the supply curve and the demand curve.
Yeah.
So the supply curve is a decrease in quantity supplied, so it goes down towards the left. Demand, there is an increase in quantity demanded, so it goes downwards towards the right.
Okay.
And there's disequilibrium. That's totally different than a double shifter.
No, I know. I mean, when it's just when supply and demand are graphed together is what I mean. Not when both.
You're going to be doing 7 graphs together.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others? Because you will have to do 2 double shifters. And they will be one mixed and one both going together. if that makes sense. One is where demand goes up, supply goes down, or vice versa, and the other one is they both increased. Or they're both decreased. They go together. Okay? Going once, going twice. All right, get to sleep. Get to sleep. Don't stay up late. Eat your breakfast, eat your dinner. All right, see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. There we go. All right.